my name is Mina. Welcome to my channel, Mina Reads, and today we're going to be talking about some upcoming book releases that I'm excited for. So let's just get into it. This is just a little slightly random list of books that are on my radar that are coming out this fall, and I believe one of them is coming out in like December, so definitely not really fall, but you know, it's just the odd man out. All right, so the first one I'm going to tell you about is coming out August 31st. It'll definitely be out by the time I post this video, but this is called Soul of the Witch by Harley Laroux. This is the third book in her Souls trilogy, and I am so excited for this. Like, I love the Souls trilogy so much. It is a very, very fun, amazing, like dark paranormal romance series. So each book is about the girls' respective relationship with this demon that they sell their soul to, and it's just very good. It's kind of dark, it's fun, it's kinky, it's funny. Like, the series is just so good to me. I think if you're somebody who's into like spicy romance, you'll love these, and they're just like the perfect read for the fall season. So I'm very excited for this third book to come out, and I'm really interested to see what this book is going to be like, because we do get some like sneak peeks at Everly's character in the other books, but we don't know too much about her. There's a lot of mystery around her and her demons, and I'm just so excited because Harley Laroux is one of my favorite authors, like pretty much of all time now, and I've read everything that she's put out so far, and I'm excited to read this one. Okay, so the next book that I want to tell you about is called A Shot in the Dark by Victoria Lee. This is coming out September 5th. This book is by an author that I really like. Victoria Lee wrote the Feverwake duology, which is like a YA dystopian that I loved so much. I think is so underhyped. I love Victoria Lee, okay? And it's an adult contemporary romance, and it is about a young woman who is, I want to say she's apprenticing under a photographer, or she's going to photography school, and pretty much like she moves to New York, and the day, or the night rather, before she goes to class, she goes to this club, she meets somebody, they have a hookup, and then the next day when she gets to her photography class, she finds out that that was her hookup from last night. I'm intrigued. Like, I want to see what it's giving. I want to see what it's going to be like. Like I said, what I know Victoria Lee from is a very, very different context. You know, it is YA, it's like fantasy, sci-fi stuff. So I'm interested to see what their writing will be like from a romance standpoint. Like, I don't know. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to read it. I think it'll be an interesting experience, if nothing else. So then we have this book named Starter Villain. This is about a character who, he is in one of his family members' will, and in this will he ends up inheriting like this villainous enterprise, and so it's about him trying to run his like super villain family members' villain business after they pass away. And the cover is like this cat in a business suit, because apparently like the HR people at this villain business are cat people that talk. I don't know, it sounds very strange. It sounds really weird and a little bit goofy, but I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated, and I want to see what it's all about. This one is coming out September 19th. Then we have another book that's coming out on September 19th, and this book is called A Nobleman's Guide to Seducing a Scoundrel, and this is by one of my favorite historical romance authors, KJ Charles. So this book is about this guy that has recently inherited a title, and he is trying to kind of get his house in order, and essentially there's this criminal dude that he wants to like enlist as his assistant, you know. And she has another book, The Gentleman's Guide to Fortune Hunting, which is kind of the same deal, where it's like these two people that should be opposing each other. They're kind of have ulterior motives for getting close to one another, but it ends up being like a really fun, really beautiful romance. So I'm excited to check this one out, and I love historical romances that are about people who unexpectedly come into a title. I think those stories are always the most fun. Right, then on September 26th, Kiss and Spell by Celeste Martin is coming out, and it's about this woman. She's a witch, and her witch powers have recently been taken away for some reason, and she ends up meeting this guy that's a prince, and he kind of needs her help with finding true love's kiss so that he can break a curse. And so this is about them on a journey to find true love's kiss for this prince, and I suppose they end up falling in love on the road to finding true love's kiss. And I love witchy romances. I think they're always a fun time, and Halloween just always makes me think of witches. I guess because my first foray into Halloween movies was the Halloween Town series when I was younger on Disney Channel. So I just feel like I always associate Halloween and spooky season with witches, and I need witch media to make me feel happy. Also Twitches. I loved Twitches so much when I was a kid. So yeah, I love witches during the spooky season, and I'm excited to read this like witchy black romance because I haven't heard of too many. And this is also a part of a series. The first book is called Witchful Thinking. So yeah, I'm hyped for this release. Also, I think the cover is really cute. Like, it's very adorable. So I'm a huge fan. Moving into October, we have Iris Kelly Doesn't Date coming out October 24th, and this is the third book in the Bright Falls series. This is an adult sapphic romance. All of the books in that series are. And yeah, so this is about Iris Kelly who doesn't date. She's more of a hookups kind of person, and I believe this story is about two people who hook up and they have like a bad hookup, and then they somehow, some way end up in like a fake dating situation that evolves from this bad hookup first date that they had. I have read the first two books in this series. I absolutely adore Delilah Green. I did not love Astrid Parker, but I think that this one could be good. I'm definitely willing to give it a shot, and I think that it has potential to be good. I think I wasn't a huge fan of like the home improvement plot. That was a big like deal in Astrid Parker. So this one I might enjoy because I do usually like fake dating. It depends on how it's done, so we'll see. But I'm excited. Then moving into November, we have a bunch of books all coming out on November 7th. The first book I'm going to tell you about is called A Power Unbound by Freya Marske, and this is book 3 in the Last Binding series, and this is like a historical fantasy series. Each book features like a little bit of a mystery, and it is about this guy named Jack. So he's kind of tried to give up on magic in the past, even though he is a really powerful magician, because his sister passed away and he just feels a bit like scarred and traumatized, so he wants nothing to do with the magical community. But some sort of conflict is arising with some magical enemies, and so he kind of has to come out of magical retirement, and he gets the help of this guy who is a thief. So it's going to be like an enemies to lovers. They have to work together to undo this magical curse thing that's happening. It sounds interesting. It sounds fun, and I definitely would recommend this series to people who like cozy fantasy. I know that it's not like an extremely cozy concept. I'm sure the plot is going to be a little bit high stakes because the first book in this series, it had that cozy vibe, but the plot was like really serious. They were trying to break a curse that was like killing the protagonist. So it's not the coziest concept ever, but the vibe of the writing style is very cozy and inviting and whimsical. So I think that if you are kind of a cozy fantasy fan, you might enjoy it. If you're somebody that liked A Taste of Golden Iron like I did, you might really enjoy this series. So yeah, I'm excited to read this third installment. And then, like I said, also on November 7th, we have Hunt on Dark Waters by Katee Roberts coming out. Y'all, if y'all have been around on my channel for a long time, you will know that me and Katee Roberts have a very tumultuous relationship, full of mostly hard times, but there were a few high points in our relationship. And I can't say that it makes a lot of sense that I'm anticipating one of her releases, but I won't interrogate it too deeply. So Hunt on Dark Waters is a paranormal romance, and it is about this woman, Evelyn, who is a witch, and she steals something from her ex, who is a vampire. So she's on the run, and she ends up like getting on a boat of this sea captain who's kind of like mean, bad boy, pirate guy. Listen, the reason that I'm interested in this is when I watched The Little Mermaid, like way back when, I think it was maybe in May that I watched that, I was struck by the extreme desire to read like a pirate romance. And when I was searching up like pirate romances that I could potentially read, this was one that was marked as like it's coming out this year. And so I don't know, every few weeks I find myself like more and more intrigued by it, and I love books with witches. I already talked about that. So I'm interested. I'm compelled, and I'm willing to give Katee Robert one last chance. So we'll see how it goes. The next book that I'm excited for is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. We're still following that main character Viv, and this is about Viv when she was a bit younger. So from what I understand, I think she's like been injured at the beginning of the story, so it leads her on a different path after she was like supposed to be recruited for this mercenary job. So I'm just excited to see more of Viv. I really liked her as a protagonist in Legends and Lattes. So the next November release that I'm going to tell you about is Do Your Worst by Rosie Danan, and this book is a kind of magical, like, enemies to lovers story. It's about this woman whose family has a history of magic, sort of like a medium type powers, I think. It doesn't say that she's a witch necessarily, but it says they have a knack for the supernatural. And so this woman, she gets hired to like break a curse on this Scottish castle, and she gets there and there's this man that's there, and he is like surveying the site. What does he do? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, like I don't know what his job is, but he's also there at the castle. And so it's about these two people, enemies to lovering, at this haunted Scottish castle apparently. And listen, the reason I'm really excited about it, because the synopsis to me is a little bit unclear what exactly is going on in the story, but the reason I'm excited for it is that I have read both of Rosie Danan's previous releases, and I just found them both to be really interesting and kind of a unique and fresh perspective on romance, and just like a unique approach to romance. I particularly love The Intimacy Experiment, so I would definitely want to read her newest release, and so that's why it's on this list, even though I'm not 100% sure what it's about. Okay, so the final book that I have to tell you about is coming out in December. It's coming out December 5th, and it is The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. And I read a Lana Ferguson book earlier this year, The Nanny, and I really enjoyed it. That was like a fun single dad, ex-nanny romance, and I thought that it was a good time. I really enjoyed that book. So this book is a little bit different. It is about two shifter werewolves, and they both work at this same hospital. And so the girl, her family is like bugging her about if she has a mate, if she's getting married soon, like all this kind of stuff. She doesn't, so she lies to her grandma and says like, yeah, I have a partner and it's this guy. And the guy that she says that it is a doctor that works at the same hospital as her, and they actually have beef and they don't like each other, but he decides to go along with it because he is like an unmated alpha, and apparently that's a bad thing in this world, and so he risk losing his job if he doesn't get mated soon. So they decide to be fake mates, and that's like what the romance is going to be about. Typical fake dating thing, but in a shifter werewolf context. And I have not read a werewolf shifter romance in a really long time, so I'm intrigued. And since I already enjoyed a book by Lana Ferguson this year, I figure why not give her next release a try. So I'm excited about it, and I actually got approved for the ARC on NetGalley earlier today, so I will be reading it sooner rather than later, and I'm very happy with this. So these are some upcoming releases that I'm excited about. Let me know what are some upcoming releases that you're excited about, because I'm sure there are plenty of cool books coming out that are not on my radar yet. So I'd love if you put me on. So thank you. Leave those for me in the comments below, and also leave me a little, I don't know, leave me a little pumpkin emoji in the comments below as well, because why not? We're headed into spooky season, and I'm feeling the vibes. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.